Welcome to round number 3 here of our third Gotham Challenge here at Salazar Place in Big Green Bay, California. I am Jesus Coronel once again. We have a round 3 matchup of round 3 of 4. We have Abigail Watson on one side and Richard Salazar on the other side. So it will be a feature match between two top-level SoCal players. We have Abigail on the team from Poland during the European Regional, Porygon 2, Ursaluna, Incineroar, Charizard, Jumpluff, and Torkoal, while Richard on the other side, also on the European Classic, it's Sneasler, Dragonite, Golden Go, Alola Ninetales, Magmar, and the Samurott of Hisui. So I actually have seen a lot of clips from both these teams, you know. The Charizard team centered around, you know, getting big damage off with those choice specs, solar power boosted fire type attacks from Charizard. You know, you can get a Dragon Pulse here and there. Although that is likely not a preferred option because, well, you know, Dragon Pulse doesn't really hit anything for super effectively except for the Dragonite, which will be appreciative from Abigail. But Richard, I believe he has weather control, so he should be able to be fine here. And we are going to see the nicknames come out, unfortunately, from Abigail's perspective, as we're going to see straight up Torkoal Jumpluff from Abigail. And it's going to be the Samurott and the Hisuian Samurott and the Sneasler out from Richard. And so it's a little bit of an interesting situation here because Torkoal will be the slowest thing in play, and I don't believe Aqua Cutter will be enough to knock out the Torkoal, but it should knock it into a range where it... Okay, never mind. Yeah, no, I'm correct. So it does have Eruption. And I believe Aqua Cutter should take it to a very low HP count to where it shouldn't be threatened by Eruption, but it will be threatened by everything else, like Overheat, for example. And now, see, okay, we got a Faker going into this Torkoal because that's one of the better ways to shut down Torkoal doing any of its shenanigans by stalling it out of the turn and making it stuck in play with this Tailwind going out, because a lot of times you want to see that Torkoal, you know, switch out with Overheat with that eject back that it has, but instead, because it's faked out, it's not going to get a whole lot of damage out, and the Aqua Cutter is going to add insult to injury, taking Torkoal under half HP, and another one will knock it out. Meaning this Jumpluff should be pretty free to just launch a Sleep Powder into one of the two targets, which just puts the issue... Okay, we are going to see the swap out from the Hisuian Samurott into... I believe this will be... Okay, that is the Alola Ninetales coming in here from Rich, so it will change the weapon to Snow. And it's going to be the Sleep Powder, which will land on the Alola Ninetales, and now it goes to sleep. And now that it is asleep, it won't be able to do much of anything this turn. Dire Claw knocks out Jumpluff in a single hit. So it only got off a Tailwind and a Sleep Powder, but I believe Rich is going to be really happy taking the trade of an asleep Ninetales and trade it for the Jumpluff, because although this Overheat will land on the Sneasler, take it under 50% HP and proc the Jetpack, this will... Actually, no. Hold on a minute. This is the dangerous situation now for Richard, because how are you going to stop this Charizard and Tailwind? Because if you can't stop the Charizard and Tailwind, then you really are going to get swept. Yeah, because you just took out... You swapped out your Hisuian Samurott, so you saw Sucker Punch access in the back. Meaning... Yeah, this is just tough because... Yes, I saw the Sneasler just to get it at least a little bit of breathing room, and back comes out the Hisuian Samurott. Okay, next up is... Okay, it's actually a double swap from Richard, and in comes the Dragonite as well. It has multi-scale, so it will take at least one hit. Okay, Heat Wave missed something. It missed the Dragonite, so it will still have that... multi-scale up, depending. Yeah, we'll keep the multi-scale up, so there'll be an Earthquake coming out from this Ursaluna here. It's not Guts boosted yet, but it will take... Oh my goodness, it took the Hisuian Samurott really low. That's concerning. And now... There should be two turns left to tail. Is this either 2 turns left to tail or 1 turn left to tail? Oh my god! It's this Extreme Sucker Punch! It's Extreme Sucker Punch! It's in the Charizard! It is not enough! Unfortunately for the knockout, the Heat Wave does double connect on both Pokemon. Down goes Samurott, and with the Guts boost, I believe this also should just mean that. Yeah, it will mean the Facade will be enough to knock out the Dragonite through that Guts boost, and the Facade doubling its power to, I believe, 140. So this Ursaluna has a lot of leeway, and yet there goes the Tailwind, meaning Sneasler can close the game out, as well as Ninetales, but Ninetales needs to wake up, and it has not taken a turn of sleep at all. So the Sneasler really only has like, okay, so the Sneasler has, I think its best option is to just click a Dire Claw into the Charizard, because even though it does have the possibility of going into Ghost typing because of, well, both these Pokemon, Ursaluna and Charizard, have Ghost Terra, I think you're better off hitting the Charizard here, because it's more likely that Ursaluna clicks the Ghost Terra, meaning you need to stall the Ninetales enough time to give it a potential to give it 1 turn sleep. And if you get that 1 turn sleep, you are launching Blizzards, or at the very least, you're launching Icy Winds or Freeze Dries in that very scenario. But yep, there is the Ghost Terra on the Ursaluna. That's close combat into the. From the Sneasler into the Ursaluna. That is curtains for Richard. But I believe this has to be. Oh, it is this close combat into the Ursaluna. Char's going to have a free turn to launch into that Heat Wave with those choice specs. It does double connect the both Pokemon. This should be a double knockout. That is it. Abigail Watson wins game number 1 off a very good positioning game with that Charizard. I just heard the "let me in" meme. Come on. I don't know whether to be happy about it or to be sad about it. Oh, I see what's happening. So game number 2 comes in here, so I think Richard did have the right idea of what to bring. I just think it was poor sequencing towards the end of the game. And so when you head into this game number 2 here, you need to find a way to shut down Sun. You shut down the Torkoal pretty well, and at the same time, there's like various equations of which where you just launch a Sleep Powder, and it did not. If it did not get into the 9-Cells, I think we'd be looking at a different scenario. But I also think there's a little bit of missequencing as well from Richard, where Abigail was able to get into a position where Jump Plus does Tailwind, and it allowed Charizard and Ursaluna to just run through the rest of his team because, well, Charizard actually had classes, so it did connect to every Heat Wave. It's just, again, I liked what Richard brought. It might have just been missequencing towards the end of the game because he did what he needed to do, but unfortunately, yeah. A little lost in thought. I'm sorry. Alright, we're going to go into game number 2 here. Is going to be that Magmar plus the Dragonite here from Richard. It will be once again Jump Up Torkoal from Abigail. So this game should have a bigger emphasis on this Dragonite going forward, that loaded dice Scale Shot that it contains. And Scale Shot should be doing a good amount of damage to the Jump Bluff if I recall correctly. And if you choose not to do that, there is an opportunity for you to just, let me look at this. Yeah, launch a Heat Wave into the into the jump bluff, and it will just draw to it because Torque will set up the sun against this jump bluff as it sets the tailwind for the rest of Abigail's team. It is the heat wave. It does not knock out the jump bluff, unfortunately. It doesn't have enough special attack investment to take it out. Here's a scale shot into the Torque. The first hit's a critical hit, and because of that loaded dice, it will hit at the minimum of 4 times. But will this matter? Okay, it will not matter even get to the 5th hit. Unless, of course, one of those hits is a critical hit. It does hit the 5th one. Critical hit? No, it does not get a critical hit, unfortunately. It will lower the defense of Dragonite by 1, but it will raise its speed by 1 as a trade-off. Torkoal launches Overheat, and it will break the multi-scale out of Dragonite, and will switch out thanks to that eject pack. And I think you switch in Ursaluna here, because it's the perfect position to just get it in here, proc the Flame Orb, which procs Guts. Alright, so the next step of this game... Oh wait, Charizard coming in here taking a little bit of solar power damage thanks to the sun. And now we just Rage Powder away all of Dragonite's worries. For now, at the very least. It is extreme speed. It is going to knock out the jump up. It just comes down to what Charizard goes for here. I think Dragon Pulse is pretty tempting. But I think the better move is just launch the Heat Wave here. Yeah, just launch the Heat Wave with the Choice Specs. Yeah, it's doing a lot of damage with the Dragonite. It's not going to... Oh, burns it! Uh-oh, it burns it. Oh, no. That's a 10% chance to get the burn on the Dragonite. It is going to take a lot less damage if you're Abigail, because now it lowers the attack of Dragonite in half. And that's actually a bad thing, because now this Ursaluna can just come in, do whatever it wants, probably protect, because this Magmar is not really threatening it with a lot of damage. I think you got a... Hot take? I think you gotta get Dragonite to faint. Because if you get Dragonite to faint here, then you could just reposition into a state of which where Hisuian Samrock can just get into a better position to launch Aqua Cutter, launch Sucker Punch as well. Magmar gonna go ahead and protect this turn. Charizard is gonna launch that Heat Wave. Will it connect to the Dragonite is the big question here. It will. So down goes Dragonite. Pretty good awareness from Richard to realize, okay, I don't need the Dragonite anymore. You're not doing any damage. Extreme Speed would have been nice to hit on the Charizard, because I think even with the burn, I think it might have KO'd, but there was also the fear of Terra Ghost. So that was probably one where it's like, yeah, I don't blame Richard for not launching Extreme Speed into that slot. Ursaluna also going to get burned by the Flame Orb, and it will activate Guts once again. It should be Hisuian Samrock coming in here. It is actually Deal and Ninetales. And it has one more turn of Tailwind, at least the Charizard and Ursaluna, which means Charizard is pressuring this Alolan Ninetales to go for a Terra Water. And with the Terra Water, you should be able to at least survive the Heat Wave. And it gives you the opportunity to launch Blizzard if we didn't see the Torkoal come in here for Abigail, which she did not do, unfortunately. And now that this Ninetales goes for Terra Water on the Richard side, it will survive a Heat Wave. It might not survive Earthquake anymore because of the Snow Boost being gone. Follow Me going to redirect a potential Facade or Headlong Rush, either or. Charizard is going to launch the Heat Wave and will double connect the bow. Magmar survives it pretty well. Alolan Ninetales also survives it pretty well. Blizzard launches, doesn't knock out the Ursaluna, but it will knock out the Charizard. No freeze, unfortunately, because Ursaluna already has the status. Out comes Earthquake. Will it just knock out the Ninetales? It will knock out the Ninetales. So it's Ursaluna Torkoal versus whatever the last Pokemon is for Richard. And if it's Sneasler, I think we're in a spot in which the Ursaluna just goes for the Terra Ghost, and making Dire Claw just the worst thing to happen for Richard, meaning this Torkoal isn't going to provide much pressure. If it's Hisuian Samurott, I think Richard wins. If it's Hisuian Samurott, I believe it has enough offensive capability to survive the Torkoal. It is Hisuian Samurott. Hold on a minute. I think Richard might be back in this game, because if this Hisuian Samurott should be able to survive anything Torkoal throws. So Aqua Cutter should KO Ursaluna barring Terra Ghost. But there's also a mind game with the Terra, because if you Terra Ghost, you are now susceptible to Sucker Punch, meaning you get KO'd there, or you get knocked off. Right so. And Ursaluna survives on 16 HP. Facade launches, and Samurott goes down, and Abigail wins the set 2-0 over Richard Salazar. Oh, wow. again, I understand the reasoning for going for the knockoff. You know, you have to expect Ursaluna to tear away from the ground weakness because of Aqua Cutter. Aqua Cutter would have KO'd there. Sucker Punch never KOs there. Knockoff came close to knocking it out, but it did not knock out, unfortunately, because the Terra Dark never appeared. And because the Terra Ghost did not appear, unfortunately, the Ursaluna survived, and Abigail moves to 3-0 on the day and will probably guarantee a top cut slot. Richard down to 1-2, still has a shot to make top cut. It's still possible, but you'll have